All right. And we are live. Looks like. Happy Sunday, guys. Let me go ahead and check settings really fast. All right. Audio looks good. Let me close a few things here so it doesn't freeze up on us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, or evening, wherever in the world you may be. I know we're running a few minutes behind today, so we're going to go ahead and jump on in. We've already got a number of questions. Glancing through really quick, really good questions. I am super excited for today's video. Today's Q&A, I think it's going to be a really insightful one. I'm really grateful for you guys and the questions that you bring. And I could tell just at a glance that all of you here are very keenly trying to understand this, and it shows. And I love to see it. I love to see it. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Again, welcome. We're going to go ahead and just jump on in. Usually I like to give it a few moments, but like I said, I know we're running a little bit behind. And there's so many things that we got to get to. So if you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back to another round of live Q&As. We do this every Sunday. We hang out, we talk about the law, and as always, I'm here to answer questions, give feedback so that you have better clarity and understanding to apply these to your life and your circumstances to see what you desire to see. A quick few announcements. Oh, man, we've got a lot of changes coming up into the new year. I am super excited for 2026. Got hired more staff, got some podcast episodes that are going to be coming out shortly. Meditations are almost finished. We are gearing up. I'm ready to make 2026 the best year so far. If you are interested in learning if you're interested in more information about any of my resources, all of that is down in the description box, including working together, coaching, anything like that. We are going to have a promotion here for the end of the year for coaching services, both email and one-on-one. So definitely stay tuned for more announcements about that. If you are interested in connecting and making 2026 the best year yet for yourself, definitely make sure to check out the information in the description box. I am looking forward to it. And thank you so far to everyone who's reached out about today's video. If you haven't seen it yet, I have released a video this morning as well on the topic of dreams, since it is a topic that comes up quite frequently. So I aim to address the most commonly asked questions that I get. And if you haven't seen it, definitely make sure to check that out after the live today. So let me double check my notes. Believe that is everything, just about everything. Yeah, just triple checking. Yeah. All right, I think we are good to dive in. It's Sunday. Sunday. Let me see here. Thank you for the heads up about that, CU. I am so sorry. If you would like, I can go ahead and resend that to you this afternoon if you have not received it. Definitely make sure to check all your email folders, just in case they may have wound up somewhere else. But I'll go ahead and resend that to you this afternoon. My apologies, and thank you for the heads up about that. All right. Hi, Missy. I'm pretty sure none of these are issues that I have, but I'm still wondering. Number one, what if your SP had a third party? Hang on, sorry, it's split up. Since they are in a relationship with them in the 3D, wouldn't the third party also be conscious of being in a relationship with SP? Then how does my assumption win and they break up? And what if SP is also a conscious manifester? They can't unmanifest the relationship I'm manifesting with them. The 3D will still reflect. Thank you. If I'm understanding your question correctly, and forgive me if I am off, but I think the question and concern here is about other people and if they have the ability to override your manifestation or what you are imagining. I take it. If I'm off, let me know. But basically, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. And I've made a video talking about this. If what if two people are trying to manifest the same thing, who ultimately wins? It is an older video, and I do have a script line out to make a more updated, newer video on this topic. But essentially, in what we need to understand, and the biggest takeaway is that in your reality, in your experience that you are experiencing through your eyes, not theirs, not what they're experiencing through their eyes, you through yours, your reality, you are the operant power. As in, you are the one that is selecting the state of consciousness or the reality that you ultimately experience. Nobody else has that authority in your experience, in your consciousness. Nobody else can take that from you. Nobody can supersede you. So it's whatever you are assuming. We want to be mindful that we're not giving that power to somebody else unintentionally, right? But yeah, that's not a thing that we have to worry about. And definitely check out the video that I made. If you just type in two people manifesting the same thing, Missy Renee, that should come right up in the search engine. But rest assured, in your reality, you are the operant power. Period, full stop, end of story. Hi, Missy. Thank you for today's dream video. It was exactly what I needed. Oh, you're welcome. Today I had an SP dream that felt very real and loving when I woke up, even without remembering the details. Oh, that's the best feeling. That is the best feeling. I love when we have those really, really good dreams. Best feeling ever. And I'm glad that the video helped. It resonated with you and that it helped to clarify some things. That is good. What is the ideal response or reaction when the 3D shows something triggering or something you don't like? I am really confused by what not reacting to the 3D means. I've heard other people say you're allowed to get triggered and feel your emotions, then others say don't react. Can you explain what it means not to react to 3D? Absolutely. Yeah. And I know that this can be confusing. There is a lot of confliction in this area. And I know there's conflicting information all around. There's so much content out there, which is in part why people are feeling that frustration and confusion and overwhelming. But basically, what we have to understand about reactions is that they are subconscious. The reactions, the knee-jerk reactions that we have, it's a response to a stimuli. It's a response to something that happens, and it's an automatic reflex. Just like when you touch a hot surface and your hand immediately jerks back, it's the same thing for an emotional response, an emotional reaction. So when we say not to react, it's just basically remembering that no matter what is appearing outside of us, it's all subject to change. Everything is subject to change. We don't have to accept this unwanted outcome as the final outcome, but we can't force ourselves to not react. That would mean suppressing your emotions, basically. And unfortunately, a lot of people in this community are susceptible to that because we become fearful of our reactions because of, things like this that are taught. So I'm of the camp of you can absolutely react. You can feel your feelings, because it's a subconscious reaction anyways. We can't help it. That's akin to telling somebody not to think of a pink elephant. Well, the first thing they're going to do is think of that pink elephant. We just have to remember, revise it. If we react negatively to something, we can always just process, and then once we're feeling better, come back and revise it. And that's what I always tell people. And even Neville talked about this. He would express to his followers, if you need to react, react. If you need to explode, explode. But don't let the sun descend upon your anger. And basically what that means is just be sure to revise it once everything is passed and once everything is processed. But yeah, we certainly do not want to be trying to shove our emotions down, trying to fake it till we make it, or anything like that. And also, we cannot lie to ourselves. So, yeah, just my 2 cents there. Reactions are subconscious. Let it out if you need to let it out. And if it's not ideal, revise it later once you are feeling better. Let me see. I'm ready for class. Love it. Okay, let me find the spot. How do we interpret fulfillment feeling dreams when we're not actively affirming or doing sex? Just living life and occasionally talking to our SP in our mind. Have a good day. Good question. I mean, any of those dreams that are, you living from the end, they are fulfilling, they're satisfying, right? Essentially, you are living from that end state in that dream. We want to interpret that as fantastic indication into the state that we're dwelling, right? Or then maybe the new state that we have selected. Dreams are feedback like anything else. They are one aspect of consciousness, just like imagination, just like the 3D, all of it. So yeah, it's a good indication, a very good indication. No, Noisy Mime, I did not miss your question. I was actually just going to get to it next. I'm going in order, and sometimes the questions are split up, so um, they're in like multiple sections. It may appear like I'm going out of order, but rest assured, I am trying to do my best to stick to. Hi, Missy. I am practicing your Manifest in SP Masterclass, and I am aware that it is all about the change in self. How do I deal with the fear that I will never actually change? Any help would be appreciated. Good question. And I do have another video coming out about fears of failure and fears of being unable to change. This is a really, really common obstacle that we run into on this journey. You are certainly not alone in this. At some point or another, everybody goes through this. What we want to understand about fears is that they are not facts. They may feel very true and very real in that moment, but they are not facts. They are not the truth and the be all end all with a capital T or any of that. Fear is faith inverted. Fear is faith in something that we don't want. Nothing more, nothing less. So how do we deal with it? Understand first that it's an assumption, like anything else, and like any assumption or any belief, they are subject to change. We know we can change beliefs. We know we can change assumptions. We know that we are capable of changing because most of us can say that we are not the same person that we were 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or even a year ago. Most people can see that during the course of their lives, there have been changes made. So to say that we're not able to change is just, it's false. It's false. Of course, human beings are capable of change. Because at the end of the day, it's just the beliefs and assumptions that need to change. And since they are not facts, we can reshape them. Yeah. It's also going to help as you build your faith in the law, in yourself as the operant power. You're going to have less and less of these fears surrounding you and your ability to create, to be the operant power, all of that. You are so welcome, Noisy Mime. I love your username too. We change states constantly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How am I supposed to be my manifestation if I never experienced it? Good question. Really good question. So just because we have not experienced something in the 3D does not mean we are unable to imagine what that would be like. For example, let's say that I wanted to be married to my specific person, but perhaps I have never been married. So I don't know what that looks like as far as the 3D is concerned. However, with my creative power, with my imagination, I can grasp the idea. I can construct the idea of what that would be like for me, right? Because it's going to be different for everybody. This is a deeply personal journey. So we just ask ourselves, what does that look like and feel like for me? So if I were married, I would likely be living with my partner, probably sharing a bed with my partner. We would be spending, most of our free time together. We would be talking about future plans and things that we want to do, things that are coming up. We would talk to each other about anything, any and everything. I would be wearing a wedding ring, in most cultures, at least. So we can imagine these things, even if we have not experienced them yet in the 3D. And that's all we're being asked to do here, is just, what would that look like and feel like and be like for you? What would you be doing differently? How would things appear different for you if this was your reality instead of that? If you, let's say, wanted to manifest, being a multimillionaire, but you've never had anywhere close to that much money, and perhaps you've always lived paycheck to paycheck. Okay, well, you can still create the idea of what that would look like for you. Perhaps you would be, buying a house or two. You would be maybe helping out friends and family more than you are able to now. Maybe you would start up another business or, a nonprofit organization. You would travel all over the world. So this is why we use our creative power. This is why we have our imagination, because there are no limits to what we can experience there. So what this teaching is encouraging us is to step outside of the boundaries of your 3D and what you are limited to in the 3D in imagination. Do not barricade yourself from experiencing more in your imagination. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Pierce Pixie, good to see you. I've missed you too. It's been a minute. I've got my Polish friends coming in. Hello, everyone. Greetings. Hi, Missy. I'm not in the greatest mindset today. SP took his family to Christmas event at the theater. Felt sad. I know it's old manifestation, but it triggered me. I will revise. Yet we are going to a friend's 60th next week together. Oh, friend, I am so sorry. And I know the holidays can be rough regardless. Not always the easiest time of year for people. So it can definitely feel compounded on top of everything else. Just take really good care of yourself today. Give yourself extra love and support right now as needed. And definitely continue to revise whatever may have happened here. Revise the incident and make sure to really hone in on that experience with your friend's 60th and how you want it to go. Imagine conversations with other friends about how amazing it went. Yeah. But take care of you first and foremost. I usually feel good during SATs, but I can't really tell if the feeling is like excitement to get my desire in the future or actually being satisfied with having it now. I know it's silly, but I can't tell. Oh. I know the feeling can be subtle. And to be abundantly clear, if you have moments of excitement, for something that is going to happen, that's not inherently a bad thing. That's not inherently a bad thing. It can feel really good, right? And it doesn't, in and of itself, mean that you're not living from the end. Like, for example, one thing that I was definitely feeling excitement about when I was in the Sabbath, back when I was manifesting my husband, when I was in the Sabbath, I had moments of excitement over the things that we were going to do together. Trips that we were going to take, projects that we were working on that I wanted to come back to. So I definitely had moments where I felt excitement for the things to come and still living from that end. I hope that makes sense. So I just want to be clear, like, it doesn't inherently mean that we're doing it wrong. In general, the general feeling when we are living from the end is that feeling of normalcy as far as being with our person. That should feel like a given. There should not be any double-mindedness or resistance around that. So I hope that makes sense. But one way to tell the difference between, excitement for the future and normalcy, basically that you're already living from that end, one's going to be at the forefront of the mind, the other's going to be sort of in the back of the mind, not really something that you're thinking about all the time. With the things that you know to be true, for the things that just feel normal and natural to you, it's just going to be sort of a baseline. It may not feel like anything as far as emotions are concerned. It's just a knowing that this is true. Whereas, excitement tends to be more in the forefront. So I hope that helps. I hope that clarifies. Josh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm just about caught up with emails with everybody. I think there's just a few more people that I need to touch base with. So plan is to be caught up with all of that today. That's actually what I'm going to be jumping into right after these Q&As. So if you are expecting an email, rest assured that is coming very shortly. And thank goodness for my new assistants, the extra help around here. They are amazing. Oh, you, Josh, thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to dive in with you. Hi, Missy. Can you talk about the fear of not having a plan B in case what you want doesn't happen? It prevents me from living in the end. Thanks for being there for all. Oh, you're welcome, Simon. Yes, I can absolutely talk about this. And I do have a video coming out about this. The plan B, the backup plan. And I know how scary it can feel not having that, but we need to not, if there's a backup plan, throw that away. This really is both feet in, not one out, not one in and one out. Backup plan means that we are not living from the end, clearly, because we cannot be dominantly occupying two states of consciousness at the same time. It is that simple. And like I said, I do have a video that's going to be coming out shortly talking about this, because the fear of failure is one of the most, if not the most biggest obstacles that we face as far as things that prevent us from actually going all in, from buying that pearl of great price. It's the fear of failure, the fear of disappointment. That's not going to happen. And how do we combat this? How do we, how do we solve this? Faith, building trust, testing this law, testing what we are being taught here, observing and documenting the ways in which your outer world reflects your inner world, because that's all the law of assumption states at its core. The only takeaway is that your outside is just reflection of what you internalize, what you believe and feel and assume to be true. Whether that's good or bad, big or small things, doesn't matter. It is just a mirror. And if that were to be true, we should be able to see that. We should be able to make those connections. We should be able to see the relationship between our inner and outer world. If we see that relationship, there must be something more to this than things just happening by random, happening by chance or by coincidence. So I would focus on building faith, which is something that we want to make sure that we are including, along with going to the end, along with the imaginal acts, making sure that we are putting this to the test and that we are proving to ourselves that we are the operant power. Because for most people, it's not going to be enough to just watch videos or read other people's accounts or anything like that. It needs to be experienced in order to have that full conviction. And I hope that makes sense. But the pearl of great price is essentially there to tell us we need to scrap the plan B. It's either all in or not at all. Yeah. Kittens. Yes. The house is pretty quiet right now. There are no fosters at the moment, though that is going to change shortly. I think we got a mama coming in with her babies here in the next few days. But I will definitely share when that happens. It's currently not kitten season right now where I live. So we've definitely had a slowdown in the slowdown in kittens and intake and all that, thankfully. So But I will be sharing the next litter as they come in. Don't you guys worry. I know it's been a while. I am doing SATs for a job and I engage with the 3D in a detached sort of way. Sometimes I catch myself not in a negative state per se, but in a hopeful or apathetic one. But is that not living in the end? Um, in a hopeful or apathetic. So do you find yourself going back and forth between feeling hopeful and then feeling apathetic? Is that what you mean? Which I mean, that sounds pretty normal. We definitely want to engage with the 3D in that detached sort of way, as in, don't rely too heavily on what's happening out here. Whatever we need to do, go through the notions, take care of your responsibilities, but ultimately we know and understand that what we do here is most important than what we do out here. What we do here is what is going to determine the series of events that happen out here. So, and we may have moments where we kind of go back and forth. We may be double-minded at times. That is normal. That's where the persistence aspect of these teachings come into play. Familiarizing yourself with that new state, going to the end over and over until that becomes more normalized versus the old story, the old state of consciousness. So the key is brazen impudence, not taking no for an answer and persisting in that end state regardless until it feels done. Hi, Misty. I'm so upset about being single for Christmas and New Year's. This year, I've been too scared to try to manifest it because I'm afraid I'll fail. Help. Thank you. Mm. Yeah, see, like, and as I was just saying a moment ago, this is a very common fear. This is incredibly common. I'd argue most people at some point or another are going to have challenges with faith, basically. Number one, it's not Christmas or New Year's yet, so we don't have to assume that we are going to be single for Christmas and New Year's. Just food for thought. You can start right now to change that state. You can start right now imagining being in that loving and committed relationship. And it's understanding that that is the only way that we will see change. Remaining stuck, remaining in limbo due to the fear that we might fail is certainly going to fail. Like, we know that there's no chance we're going to manifest what we want from that state of fear. So it really is, we have to go all in. We have to. And if nothing else, do it for yourself. Do it for practice with how you want to feel. Practice with what state you want to live from. For the sake of feeling better, for the sake of feeling good. As if the alternative is living in a state of fear and hopelessness and frustration, there's really nothing to lose by just practice with allowing yourself to imagine something that is lovely, that feels good, regardless. But again, once again, this is where building faith is so important. Neville Goddard used to say that the formula for manifestation is imagination plus faith. Because not being tethered by that fear of failure and that fear of disappointment, I mean, that is the greatest liberation we will ever experience. Yeah. But we do not want to assume that something is going to be a certain way I know Christmas is right around the corner, and so is New Year's. We may feel like we don't have enough time. That's not true. That's never true. You do not have to be single for Christmas and the New Year's. That is not already destined to be your fate. I promise. Yeah. Focus on testing this. Really focus on building that faith up. Just bought Dr. Joseph Murphy's book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Yes, that is an excellent book. That is an excellent read. Hi, Missy. Hope things are going well. In our session this week, you said the more we study the law of assumption, the more we see the hypocrisy of our views and beliefs. Can you elaborate on that? Yes, I would love to. Yes. As you become more observant, as you become more aware of the beliefs, of the reactions, how we are feeling, we tend to think that we're being practical, that we're being logical, rational human beings, very fact oriented. But what we quickly find is that a lot of the fears and assumptions and the beliefs that we have are pretty irrational. For example, one common belief that we have is that the law works, but it doesn't work for me. That I must be an exception to this somehow. And there is no universe where that makes logical sense whatsoever. So what we're going to see that these beliefs that at one point we just took as fact, they don't make any rational sense at all. They don't follow logic. As humans are by nature much more emotional creatures than we are logical. So just food for thought. Your beliefs, your assumptions, they are not fact. They are not law, as much as they may feel to be the case. Did you ever doubt when manifesting your SP? I have been for months, and the 3D reflects badly. Now there's a lawyer, and I don't like how SP is acting. My ego says I don't deserve this, but I know SP reflects. How to persist? Yeah, I know. Persistence is not always the easiest thing, just to put it lightly. Did I ever doubt? I mean, of course, it depends on where in my SP journey you were to ask me that question, but there were definitely periods where I doubted, where I had, heavily questioned if this was possible. I mean, of course I did. Yeah. I would say if there are things, whatever is reflecting in the 3D right now that you don't like and you don't want, don't overlook revision. Don't overlook revising them, especially if it feels like things are getting intense, lawyers are getting involved, or whatever may be happening. If it feels like, too much, if it feels very difficult to suspend disbelief because of everything in the 3D happening, make sure that you are revising. And you can check out the playlist I made on revision under my playlist tabs if you need more information about that. Hi, Missy. Do you feel a physical difference when you're in a different state? I feel like my head is different. LOL. I don't know how to explain it any better, but it's a tangible difference. Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, especially depending on what exactly you have been focused on, like what you have been aiming to manifest, but you will definitely notice a change in your body, like in how you feel. Most certainly. I mean, if you're naturally, if you're trying to manifest a change of appearance, that will be something. You'll notice a change in your looks and how you appear, but there's also a change in like the body sensations, our emotions, our reactions. You know, instead of feeling perhaps that gut sinking, that pit in the bottom of the stomach, instead of that, we feel much lighter. Instead of that, we feel much more expansive. We feel much more at ease. So the mind is very closely tied to the body. So paying attention to the physical sensations that we have is important for sure. Oh, Jacob, I'm so sorry. I do not see your question on here. I don't know. If you wouldn't mind resending that, I'd be more than happy. If that was missed, though, I do apologize. Any tips for manifesting money and fame? Love you, but I'm struggling because it's taking too much time. Yeah, time is the other big, big resistance factor. Our conditioning to 3D time, linear time, it's far too easy to get caught up in that. Um, yeah, and I do. Admittedly, this is something that doesn't always come natural at first. But one of the things that we aim to practice is being present. One of the reasons why things such as a mindfulness meditation or meditation in general is so helpful to include in this practice. Just the focus on being here now in the state that you desire to experience, not thinking of it in the future, but right here, right now. And then again, I know it doesn't come easy, but we must refrain from checking the time that it's been. That is only going to manifest the state of taking more time. So I'd say if you don't have a meditation practice or just, you know, grounding techniques that really center you in this now moment, I would introduce some of those in your day to day. Yeah. It's Sunday. Can't believe we've only got a couple Sundays left in the year. Where did this year go? Let me see. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Just closing out a few things here so we don't get any snags. Northwest Wind, good to see you, sir. Hey, Missy, have you ever deepened into the Kabbalah? I love Neville, but am seeking for more of his enlightenment and dissolving into infinite love material without manifestation stuff. Any recommendations? Yeah. Yeah. So you mean more of the things that Neville studied? Is that, I take it that's what you mean? I mean, the Kabbalah, yes, absolutely. Neville definitely studied under Abdullah. There's actually a book that was written by Abdullah. I know there was one called "And It Was Told of a Certain Potter," and another where it may have just been his name. I have to go back and double check, but a lot of the things that he taught directly, you can find from that book. There's going to be a video that I'm coming out with in the not too distant future about a rabbi who, interpreted a lot of this mystical and esoteric aspects hundreds of years before Neville did. So, and I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment. I had a really, really sweet client reach out and translated a lot of his work from Hebrew. And I'm excited to share that information with you guys. But definitely, if you haven't dived into the Kabbalah yet, I would. And Abdullah's book, where he does also give more resources, it's going to drive me nuts. The name of it. I know the first one was called "And It Was Told of a Certain Potter." And he went by Abd Allah in there, just FYI. Venanta too. Absolutely. I would look into both. Hey, Missy, how can I heal my emotional dependency on SP? He didn't message me this weekend, like always, and we didn't meet for the first time since 5 months. I worked so hard on myself. I thought this attachment would be over, but it triggered me a lot. I don't know what to do anymore and how to fix that. Yeah. The purpose of these techniques, the objective of this practice is to change our self-concept at the end of the day. And that would include healing that emotional dependency on your SP. Like that would fall under the umbrella of changes that you make to your self-concept. So your imaginal acts, making sure that you are focused on being the version of you who feels confident, who feels secure within herself, who is not at all dependent on anything external, any person, any circumstance, any given anything. I would just focus on these aspects of the character that you desire to be and walk in her shoes, at that version of you. So the imaginal acts, maybe taking the attention away from him, focusing it right now on you and being the very best version of you. That was in a nutshell what I did and the approach that I made. I stopped putting all of my attention on my person way up there on the pedestal, and I focused instead on feeling and being the person that I wanted to be. Laying down that foundation, laying down the new self-concept first and foremost. Yes, Christmas tree, Christmas decorations. That's just the baby one. I may have to do another setup where I'm downstairs with the 12-foot tree that we have downstairs. I may do that for the next live, make it more festive. I'm glad you guys like the video about the dream. I'm glad you guys enjoy the dream video. That makes me really, really happy to see. So I should make an imaginal act just with myself. Yes. Hmm. Or it could be you and a friend, and your friend is complimenting you on how much you've changed and how much more confident and assertive you seem. And you are confirming that I do feel much more confident. I do feel much more secure in myself. I feel better than I ever have in my entire life. Something along those lines. Yeah. Wanting to manifest a divorce, but I don't want to hurt the other person. Do you have any tips? Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that we want to, and I know it can be difficult for us to not jump automatically to the conclusion that somebody's going to get hurt here. When we think of a divorce, we think nasty. We think drawn out legal battles and people getting screwed over and just horrible stuff. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be what we may picture it to be right now. I would in your shoes, I would imagine, you know, amicable proceedings that, you go about this in a way that is very peaceful and it's, without issues, without hiccups. Maybe a conversation with your attorney saying that, you know, you two have the easiest case here. I haven't seen two people that just wanted to cooperate and still have respect for each other like you do. Things like this. Again, your imagination has no limits. So we don't want to presume that it has to go badly or that the other person will get hurt. Because there is a state of consciousness, there is a reality where that's not the case. So just some food for thought. Oh, David, thank you for stopping in. Good to see you here. And Merry Christmas to you as well. Hi, Missy. How can we make SATs as fun as possible? Good question. Honestly, approaching it from a place where it's really getting yourself as relaxed as possible and just going into it with the mindset that you want to do this for fun. You're going into this to have fun with it. You're going into this to enjoy the imaginal experience, have a good time, and just because it's the pressure that we feel that makes things challenging, that feels like such a chore. We're so scared that we have to get this perfectly or that there's so much on the line, and all of that pressure is causing this to causing us to just feel stressed and not good. So focus on just getting yourself as relaxed as you can, prioritizing the moments or the days where you are feeling better, you are having a good day or at least a better day, and setting the intention that you're just going to have fun with this. You're just going to enjoy it. You're going to be like a kid again. We really do have to start approaching this like we're kids again. And kids just imagine for the hell of it because it's fun, because they enjoy it. So if we come at it from that angle, we're going to have a much better time. If everything is truly possible, why does doubt win? Why double mindedness? Especially after a long time of good thoughts, why do we go back after feeling so strong? Please speak to double mindedness. Absolutely. The short answer is habit. The short answer is we are creatures of habit. And that's why, like, even if it may feel like we've been doing good for a long time, we've been feeling better, and then seemingly out of nowhere, it's like a rubber band effect. And we're feeling the old story again. We're feeling frustrated, we're feeling triggered, essentially ego backlash. This is habit. This is the ego trying to maintain that homeostasis, go back to that what was a dominant state, to try to maintain that. And that's really why this journey is not always linear. Rarely is it ever linear. A lot of times it may be a few steps forward, one step back, a few steps forward, one step back. But we will notice progress each time if we commit to going back to that end state. We will notice that it becomes easier and easier to maintain the more that we go back and the more that we familiarize ourselves with it. So, yeah. And the doubts feel stronger at first because this is just how we've been conditioned. But just because something is habit does not mean that it cannot change. We can absolutely break the bad habits, we can change them no matter what. How long does it take to change our self-concept? That I cannot give a time frame for. I could not tell you. It depends what exactly you are aiming to change. If you feel these are big things or small things, depends on how frequently you occupy that new state or the state of the wish fulfilled. Like, are you frequenting it throughout the day? Do you just frequent it like once for a few minutes and then go back to the old state? The time that it takes is proportionate to how natural that end state feels. So frequenting the state of the wish fulfilled is key. But could not tell you. Could be a day, could be a month, could be 6 months. We don't know. Can we change another person through revision? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, we can. Hi, Missy. How to erase my own memory of an event? Good question. You mean how do we revise? If you haven't seen my videos on revision yet, I would definitely check those out. I have them in a playlist. If you go to my playlist tabs and click on the revision playlist, those go in a lot more detail on how we change our memories and how we can change the past, so to speak. My SP has gone completely silent. Is this a reflection of my nervous system? And if I fix my nervous system, is that when SPs tend to return? Um, well, your nervous system is that's physiological, and it is closely tied to our mental well-being, our mental state. Again, the body and the mind are very intrinsically linked, but it's when we have changed our self-concept, that's what will produce the new reflection, the new 3D experience. It's when we have changed how we are perceiving them, how we perceive ourselves, what we are assuming and believing about the relationship, all of that. All of that. Um, And it certainly does help when our nervous system is not completely out of whack. Granted, it certainly makes it much easier to return to that end state. But yeah, I do need to finish the video on the nervous system, manifestation in the nervous system. But rest assured, we do want to prioritize first helping getting ourselves into a more relaxed state. If we're feeling anxious, that will certainly help. I've been able to manifest before, but lost it. How do I move past the disappointment so that visualization is enjoyable again? Ooh, I know that there's not much worse than successfully manifesting something just to see it go away. And this is why I emphasize the importance of changing self, not changing the 3D. Well, I mean, the byproduct of changing self is the change in 3D, the lasting change in 3D. So it's number one, understanding that as I change, the 3D has to reflect that and it has to continue to outpicture that because it's only reflecting my beliefs, my assumptions, what I'm imagining. So I'd say directing the focus and attention to self and having that be the priority first and foremost. Is we can leave an impression and see it outpictured, but if we're still in conflict with that reflection, if we are still in conflict with the beliefs that we have and the desires that we have, this is why we manifest things and lose them again. But if you address the self-concept aspect, you will see it and you will maintain it. Full stop. You guys are so sweet. You guys are so sweet. Oh, where was my spot? Hey, Missy, I've had no movement in months, and I think it's because I was manifesting things instead of the identity that has the things. Bingo, bingo. How can I fix it? Thank you. You hit the nail right on the head. Instead of trying to manifest things, we're manifesting the identity of the person who has said things. Again, this is all about you. This is all about what you are believing, assuming, identifying with. That is key. So instead of focusing our attention out there and what we want to try to change out there, it's how do I want to feel? How do I want to be feeling and thinking and assuming through my day to day? What are the core aspects of my self-concept as the version of me who has what I want? Get very clear on that and begin to have your imaginal acts centered around that, and you will see change. Period. Will you do more lecture videos? Yes. Yes. I actually, hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow, then Tuesday, I'm going to be going live for the next video in the lecture series. I know it's been a minute. I am so sorry. It's been incredibly busy with all the things that we got going on behind the scenes. But yes, do have another addition to the lecture video. So keep notifications on, So I will be announcing that when I go live. Missy, if what I assume is true, then why are my memories of me and my brother entirely different of an event? Good question. Probably has a lot to do with the, you know, the assumption, the strong belief that we have that people have free will and agency. So, I mean, it wouldn't be crazy to see why other people may reflect different thoughts and opinions or what have you. Just my 2 cents. But it also goes to show that memories are not perfect recordings of what did happen, and that memories are subject to change. Hi, Missy. I manifested the position I wanted, but there's a travel restriction and I cannot go there. I tried to keep working remotely, but that didn't work either. I don't know what to do anymore. The hardest thing is looking past the 3D obstacles. That I think everybody can agree with that. We're very, very, very conditioned to accept what happens out here is final and being at the mercy of it. What we're learning here is that's never the case. Even if it appears like there is an obstacle, a barrier, a restriction, a travel restriction in this case, if you commit to seeing yourself there, seeing yourself doing the work at this location, and don't worry about how you're going to get there, and what that we do not need to concern ourselves with the how, what things are going to unfold as. None of that is our business. But if you commit to seeing yourself already there and doing the work that you need to do, something will have to happen in one form or another. Again, I can't tell you how or what that looks like, but the bridge must unfold. So what do we do here? We commit no matter what obstacles are appearing in the 3D. Hi, Missy. Did you ever struggle with the fear of being delusional with manifestation? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. Like if you fail at it, then you've missed out on living your life because you've been striving for more. I would say most people struggle with that fear of being delusional, or fear that this doesn't work, or fear of failure, all of that. I mean, of course, unless you grew up learning and understanding and living by these teachings, it's going to feel pretty bizarre. It's going to seem pretty bizarre because this is a radical new way of thinking. This is a radical different approach at life. So, I mean, of course, what we have to realize though is, number one, we don't want to be putting our lives on hold. No matter what the aim is to manifest, like, we still live our life. We still do the things that we want to do. We don't want to be waiting per se. But also, once again, where building faith comes in, building trust comes in. Is at some point we do want to buy that pearl. We do have to buy that pearl. If we remain 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then yes, certainly we're going to continue to be stuck in limbo. Mhm. What is the longest it took you to manifest a desire after dropping it? The longest? That's a good question. Probably this house, just because of logistics. Um, and I'd say that probably, I mean, I've had manifestations that took from the time I imagined to the time about picturing several months, even a year in some cases. But that's just it, though. Like, we don't want to assume that it's going to take a long time. We just drop it and go about our lives. When we reach that place where we can drop it and just go about our days, it's going to reflect in the way that feels most natural to you. So if we have an assumption that something is going to take some time, then you know that there's bureaucracy, there's steps involved, there's conditions that need to be met. This could be why it takes longer. Yeah. And I remember that story about Neville's brother who would imagine this building in Barbados, that he wanted to acquire, like for him and his father's business, the family business, basically. And he'd walk by this building and he would just imagine his name on the sign, imagine the family name on the sign instead of the one that was on there. And it was 2 years of this, uh, you know, consistently imagining. And then he was approached by an investor, and the ball just started rolling really quickly once things did start moving. But, you know, perhaps in his mind, he thought that it was going to take some time, or perhaps he, you know, was double minded at times. Who knows? But if you persist, it will manifest. It has to. It has to. It doesn't matter. Oh, Jackie, good to see you here. Hello. All right, where's my spot? What separates those that successfully get their manifestation versus those who don't? Honestly, those that do versus those that don't, persistence, that brazen impudence, that not taking no for an answer, that really is the biggest thing, more than anything. Mhm. When people write their circumstances in the comment section, doesn't it just reaffirm the unfavorable reality and keep it alive? So you're not living in the end. I mean, yes, which is why the objective, the aim is to keep your focus and attention as much on the desired outcome as possible. Now, if you do find yourself having to talk about something or rehash something of the old story, just make sure that you revise it after the fact. But yeah, we do want to be very mindful of what we are continuing to accept. What story and narrative are we going back to and reiterating and rehashing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. People by their circumstances. Hi, Missy. Every time I try to revise an event with SP, I get sad, angry, and I don't really want to or can't continue. Any advice how to overcome that so I can do the revision? Thanks a lot. Absolutely. And I know it can be upsetting, it can be triggering, recalling certain moments and things that happened. If you're finding this challenging, um, two ways of approach. Number one, practice revision on things that are not as emotionally charged, for things that may feel less of that resistance, maybe things that are more neutral, for the sake of practice, for the sake of just getting the hang of this practice. Um, Number two, when it comes to, um, revising events that were upsetting, try instead to imagine new memories, instill new memories. Imagine things that happened that were lovely and ideal, even if they didn't actually happen. So yeah, that would be my approach at first. And just like with any new skill, with practice, it becomes easier and easier to approach. My apologies, dear. I did not see a question from you. I do not see a question. And if it didn't go through, I am so sorry about that. Missy, please explain naturalness and how to achieve it. It means how logical it feels to us. Yeah, well, naturalness, I mean, that just means how normal something feels, how natural it feels, how real it feels. Like when we think about things that we already believe and accept as true, they just feel normal. It feels natural to occupy the state. Like, I know my name is Missy. I know I live in California. I know that the sun's coming up tomorrow. I know that I'm married. I know that I have cats. I know that I foster animals. These are all just things that are they're knowings. So they don't even really sit at the forefront of my mind unless I'm directly interacting with them. It's just a very subtle normalcy. So the point is to get to that point with the things that you desire. What does not reacting to the 3D mean since you said you can feel your emotions? I believe I already answered this question earlier, Adrian. If you go to the start of the video, this is one of the first questions that I answered. But just to be clear, Not reacting to the 3D, the way that I tell people to view it is just don't accept an unwanted outcome as final. It doesn't mean literally don't react or literally just be stoic or stone faced. Number one, we can't help our reactions. Our reactions are subconscious. So whatever's going to happen is just going to happen. All we can do is revise after the fact if it's something that is not ideal. If we're triggered by something, frustrated by something, then let yourself process, let yourself feel whatever you need to feel, and then revise once you are feeling better. Because what a lot of people are taking away is that we literally can't react to the 3D, and that's going to that's going to encourage suppression of emotions, lying to ourselves, and a whole lot of toxic traits that we do not want. A YouTuber recently said that even if you desire somebody and they're not the love of your life or mirror soul, then they are impossible to manifest. You know, um, I take it she's somebody who does not teach the law of assumption. She probably has another school of thought, which is fine. Is fine to have your own beliefs and assumptions. That is just not true. Any of that, all of that was not true whatsoever. I don't even know what a mirror soul is, because it's not impossible to manifest anything. Nothing is impossible. That is not a thing. Nothing is impossible to God. So yeah, heavy contradictions here. And we just want to be careful of this stuff. You know, people putting their own limitations on things, their own limiting beliefs on what they're teaching, because Neville made it very abundantly clear that there are no limits to what is possible for you to experience. Hi, Missy. I'm a big fan here. I keep on battling myself. Cannot get into the state for the love of me. What to do? A natural instinct that a lot of us have is to try to push, try to force, try to wrestle with our thoughts, wrestle the subconscious mind into submission. We must resist this approach. I know that may be the initial reaction. We must resist doing that. Because the reason you cannot get yourself into the state is because you are forcing it. You're battling yourself. You're trying to get there from a state of anxiousness, from pressure, from feeling very strained. That is not a conducive state to the ideal end. They're not compatible. So we have to stop fighting ourselves. We go to the end when we're feeling good. We go to the end when we're feeling relaxed, when we're feeling better, or when we're just feeling neutral. You know, we're having a good day or an okay day. Why not go enjoy this imaginal act? You know, it feels good. But when we're triggered, when we're anxious, when we're spiraling, trying to go to the end in those times is like trying to run through a brick wall. And I do not recommend it. Yeah. All right, I got time for maybe one or two more questions. So I'm trying to find my spot, guys. When Neville spoke of dying to the old self, is it only an inner shift, or does it change daily reactions too? And when opposite 3D shows up, like in SP going silent, is that just the old state collapsing? When Neville refers to dying to the old self, yes, he's saying you're dying to the old self concept, the old beliefs, assumptions, narratives, identities, all of that. And that's actually the next lecture that I'm going to be breaking down in my Neville series is the art of dying, which I know sounds bleak, but it's not the dying that most people are thinking of. The art of dying to the old self, basically, where he goes into great detail about this. But it is an internal shift. Yes, it is 100% an internal shift, and that inner shift causes a change in our daily reactions, a change in our day-to-day thinking patterns. Because if you had different beliefs and assumptions, you would show up differently. Your thoughts would be different. Everything you did would be different. The actions that you take would be different. So it all stems first from within. And when the opposite shows up, like an SP going silent, is that just the old state collapsing? Perhaps we want to gauge how we are feeling and how we are reacting. More important than what's happening out here is how we are reacting and responding to it. That's going to give you insight into what you are believing and assuming is true ultimately. Mm-hmm. Can you manifest an SP who doesn't know you exist? Yes. Yes, you can. A lot of people after my last success story video were saying, they were feeling kind of discouraged because in these videos, this was an ex, somebody that they had dated, and were wondering, well, what about somebody that you haven't dated or somebody that you don't even know or doesn't know you? It ultimately does not matter. It does not matter. The law is not conditioned to only work for certain things and not for others. And that's another video topic I'm coming out with and sharing again. The law works for everything, literally everything. Don't underestimate how important relaxation is. I agree. I agree. The art of relaxation, important for a myriad of things. Not even just manifestation aside, it's gonna have a bunch of physical benefits, mental benefits. There's just yeah, but it is going to make imagining your wish fulfilled, going to the end, so much easier, so much more enjoyable. Yes. If there's one inner shift that resolves all manifestation struggles, doubt, intrusive thoughts, emotions, what is it? And how do you remain faithful once the old state dissolves in practice? Good question. One inner shift that resolves all manifestation struggles? Honestly, faith in yourself as the operant power. Period. With that faith, nothing will be an obstacle to you. Nothing will feel impossible to you. All the doubt, intrusive thoughts, the ups and downs, the triggers, they are going to cease because we are no longer identified with them. And how do you remain faithful once the old state dissolves in practice? Well, once again, if you already have faith and trust in yourself as the operant power, you will not be moved by what's happening out here. It may appear to be stark opposite out here. It may look exactly like what you don't want, and yet you will be unmoved. That is the power of faith. That is, Jesus talks about this all throughout the Bible. Neville speaks to it all the freaking time, because that is how we remain unmoved. Yeah. That one inner shift will change everything. That's not to say that we have to have full conviction and faith or this isn't going to work. I just need to be clear about that. If we are still double-minded or unsure, that ultimately just keep practice on building your faith and going to that end. No matter what is reflecting outside. Maybe it's just more effective if we have fun with this. I think taking all too seriously can block us. Bam, bam, bam. Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Yep. Right there. And I understand that for some things, it feels like very pressing, very urgent, very stressful. For the things that are highly prioritized, I get that. But if we can learn to just approach this like a little kid does and just have fun with it, just enjoy it, just imagine to feel good, you will see significant change with little to no resistance. But it's that pressure that we put on ourselves. It's that all the fear and strain and urgency that will absolutely keep us in a stranglehold. Unless you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Just some food for thought. And who doesn't want to enjoy this? Who doesn't want to feel good for the sake of feeling good? We should want to go to the end because we enjoy experiencing this desire. So learning to have fun with it is so important. So important. Hello, Hina. Hello, you have made it. Unfortunately, I do have to sign off here soon. I said a bit ago that I was going to answer 1 or 2 more questions, and that was maybe 5 or 6 more back. But if you are just joining, definitely make sure to go over to the beginning. There are a lot of really great questions today, you guys. Like, sincerely, this was really, really good. And I think it's going to help. I know it's going to help a lot of people. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for joining. If I did not get to your question today, I do sincerely apologize. Rest assured, though, I'm here every Sunday. So I hope you can join next week. In the meantime, definitely make sure to keep notifications on for more content coming up. Check out my video that I released this morning on dreams, and keep eyes out for all sorts of fun resources. 2026 is right around the corner, and I am excited to share you guys everything that we're working on. In the meantime, do take care of yourself. Be good to yourselves. Much love to each and every one of you. Take care.